गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट. गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है. My background is new, and that's because some, readjustment and some slight repair is going on in my house. So I've shifted to another room. Of course, it's in my house, but it's a little open to public sounds. So if you hear some horns and blaring and auto rickshaws, bear with it. So you can hear the sounds of Chennai, right? After all, I'm not a professional anyway. But having said that, that's part of the game. Okay, you saw the travelogue of last week where I took you into Sikkim and Chumbi Valley. And this time we're going east, right? And this is a travelogue to Bhutan, and we'll examine what China is doing in Bhutan. How they're slowly enlarging their, you know, area and creeping into Bhutan. The sneaky chaps they are, that's what they do. Okay. Just for your information, the link to the first travelogue of Sikkim and Chumbi Valley is also there in the description of this video. And for those of you who are seeing this travelogue for the first time, I would suggest see the first one also. That's one. And number two, even in that first, the description of the first one, the link to this travelogue is also there. And we'll follow it further as we'll go east, right? So you get to know the whole area. That's the whole idea. Okay, let's get going. Let's go into Bhutan. But let's get an overview. Have a look. We saw yesterday the Himalayan crest line, right? Makalu, Everest, Kanchenjunga, Chumoyumo, right? Chumolari, Chuma, Chomalari Kang, right? And you keep going, Chumakang. Yeah, that's Chomalari Kang. Then you go to right at the end, Namcha Barwa. So I'll not go into all. That's the Himalayan crest line with the little jut tongue into India, the Chumbi Valley, the Ganga or the Padma, whatever you call it, Tista, main rivers, Brahmaputra. This is Bangladesh. And of course, Tibet with its road network. That's what we generally spoke of. And today we'll talk of Bhutan. And that's the whole idea, right? And we'll talk of Bhutan, and we'll talk of Bhutan in a fair amount of detail. And we'll go the other side of Tibet and see what their designs are. Look, when you talk of Bhutan, the two red dots are important. But this is Tawang. Tawang is the Chinese centerpiece. They want Tawang. And why do they want Tawang? They want Tawang for the simple reason one of the Dalai Lamas was from Tawang. And they feel that since one of the Dalai Lamas was from Tawang, and the Dalai Lama is of Tibetan Buddhism, he should be from, Tawang should be part of Tibet. But that's fallacious. Why? The present Dalai Lama is not from Tibet, he's actually from China. He was born on north of Tibet, Amdo, north of Amdo province. And so it's not as if just because you're a Dalai Lama or somewhere there, he was born in a place where between the Chinese and this thing. Today, of course, the Chinese claim everything. So it's not necessary that the Dalai Lama, wherever he is born, is part of Tibet. The next Dalai Lama will not be from Tibet. That's what he said. He'll be from a free land. So that means if suppose the Dalai Lama is from USA, the USA will also become part of China. So that's stupid, right? That logic is out. But well, that's the Chinese logic. You have to contend with it, and that's why they are looking at Tawang. The next, of course, is Doklam. There's no doubt about it. Or Dolam Plateau. Actually, it's Dolam Plateau. Right, Tibet here, you have Nepal here, you have Arunachal here, and you have Bangladesh here. And This point is the trijunction. There are two trijunctions between Bhutan, India, and Tibet. The first trijunction is here at Dolam Plateau, India, Bhutan, Tibet. The second trijunction is here near Tawang at a place called Jarjangso. Well, I've been there long back. Okay, hard trek, but I've been there. Okay, now look at understand Bhutan. Understanding Bhutan is important. Bhutan is like a wedge, right? It's like a wedge. It doesn't allow the Chinese to come in easily, and we'll explain. I'll explain that to you here, right? Have a look at the north. This is the northern part of Bhutan. It's all white, snow covered, very difficult area. Now, this is the Bhutan border which defines Bhutan with Tibet. Not here. This, of course, is India. This is Tawang. Okay, this is Tawang. So this part is thing. Here is the McMahon line. This line is the McMahon line. I've not put it. But here the whole idea is to explain to you the outlines of Bhutan. Now, the way from Tibet, right? From Tibet into Bhutan is very limited. You can't come from the north. It's virtually impossible. These are all peaks of 6,000 plus. I mean, 6,000 is the minimum. It can go up to 8,000 plus also. Now, if you see these four lines which come through, five lines rather, these are the entries from Tibet into Bhutan. We'll talk of these entries. Three entries come from Chumbi Valley. That's why Chumbi Valley becomes important. Two entries here. I'll take it out and have a look. See this? Two entries come from the north, Lunje and to Tashigang. In between, the terrain is virtually impassable. Yeah, people can go. Some people, there are trails. There are mountain trails through which you can get through. People go with yak shacks and all that. Okay. But major movement of troops is not possible. It's very rough country. Tough country. I wouldn't say rough country, very tough country. It's all okay. Difficult. Okay, now we'll concentrate a bit on this part of the whole story, right? We did that last time in the Chumbi Valley. Chumbi Valley is critical. So we'll enter Bhutan via Chumbi Valley and also, of course, from the north, other side, Tashigang side. And I'll explain Bhutan to you. Oh, we know that I spoke yesterday. Now, I mean, not yesterday, last week. The routes into or around Chumbi Valley, right, which go to Siliguri, lead on to the Siliguri corridor or the Chicken's Neck. One is, of course, from the Gyagang Plateau, goes down to Lachen. This is a recap and goes down along the Teesta River down to the plains. It bypasses Gangtok completely. The alternate to this is a route which comes again from the plateau, somewhere near Gurudongmar Lake, and comes to Lachung and comes down. And there's a confluence at a place called Chungtang. And from there it goes down. Of course, there's a route to Gangtok also via a place called Mangan. I'm not highlighting that. Then the traditional Natula route, which goes from Natula, from Yaktung, it comes to Natula and Gangtok and down, right? And then the route via Jalapla. The route via Jalapla bypasses Gangtok again. It goes from, Jalapla down to a place called Ranok. From Ranok, you can go to Kalimpong, and you don't even go to Kalimpong. You hit a place called Algada, and from Algada, you hit a place called Damdim, which is on the plains. So these are the routes in. these are not only traditional routes, these are routes along which roads, everything are there. And then, of course, the Doklam route, which we will talk of a little later, right? There'll be overlap between what I'm speaking today and what I spoke other day. And then, of course, the routes via Bhutan. This is important. One route comes via Tremola through the Ha Valley down the and goes further. I'll explain to you where. And then, of course, the route via Paro. So these are the routes which around Chumbi Valley. The main thing would be via Chumbi Valley. But here the Chumbi Valley is restricted, which I spoke yesterday. Just about 50 kilometers here. Down here, it's about 20-30 kilometers. The valley along which the Yatung or Chumbi village, Chumbi and Yatung, the township, they're now mixed. Oh, just about 400 meters. That's it. So it's a very constricted valley. I showed you the pictures, everything. Those of you who want to go back to that first travelogue, have a look at it. And I'd say, those of you who are seeing this for the first time, again I repeat, it's worth it. Your mind will open up. Okay. Now, interesting part. This is the map of the old times. You see the border, how it is. Today's map is like this. There's a projection here, right? And a projection here. So the old map, this is where the Chinese have incursed. Even this map is about 2-3 years old. What Bhutan shows today is something completely worse, more encroachment into China. And that's what they show as, well, Bhutan is a small country. We'll talk about that also later down the line. Now, yeah, this is the Dolam Plateau, or now called the Doklam Plateau. The actual tri-junction is at a place called Batangla. This is the LC, right? And this is supposed to be the Bhutan-China border. But they claim this whole area and they've incursed this side of Sinchella. Actually, from Batangla, it goes to Sinchella and then goes across. But they've incursed here. This is the Dolam Plateau. They want to get onto the Dolam Plateau and come down here. This is Dokala. This is we call it the Doklam Plateau. It's the Dolam Plateau. From here, they want to get down here. The natural flow is through Amochu, which goes here. Okay. Right. And in this is the tri-junction, which is as per the Chinese. The actual tri-junction is here. They've shifted here so that the entire Dolam Plateau, as per their boundary, is within them. But we have not allowed that to happen. So they have gone east. That's okay. And Bhutan can do very little about it, so they've gone. But how far can they go? They can't keep going. Right? Then it's like a small tongue which is going out. Someday someone will cut it. Even now it's susceptible. If they go further east, they're susceptible. It's very difficult terrain. Okay, so think this is something like this. This is the route the Chinese want to come down by the Jaldaka River. Okay, and the natural flow is via Amochu. Amochu goes down. In India, it's called Torfa. In Chumbi Valley and in Bhutan, it's called Amachu. Right? Chu is a river. Okay, and Jaldaka starts from south of Dolam Plateau. And then, of course, there's a huge hydel project here in Jaldaka and all that. And then it comes down to Malbazar. It's a pretty big township. And either side, you can't put forces and go here, or you can't put forces and go here. The huge crest lines, heavily forested, sharp, very difficult. And of course, this is Chomolari, my love. Like I told you, for 6 months, I kept seeing Chomolari day and night. Okay, so that's Chomolari, just for a refresh. Right. Now, I'll show you the interesting part. Okay, have a look. This is Chumbi Valley alignment, approximately. Okay, if you see this from here, this is the Amochu. It goes to a place called Jaigaon here. Jaigaon is Funshling. It goes like this. It comes down like this and goes like this. This is Dolam. And Natang is, of course, this place, Natang is on our side. That's on the LAC almost. From here, this is Jaldaka. This is Jaldaka. Okay. And if you go further, this is all the plains of Bengal. The Chinese want to go from here. The natural flow is here. They're expanding here. They can keep expanding here. They can go nowhere. But let's get back to Bhutan. And this is Bhutan, incidentally. This route, Amochu, right till it reaches Jaigaon, is in Bhutan. But okay, so if you don't want to go via Amochu, then what you have to do is from Chumbi Valley, climb up to a place called Tremola, and from Tremola get into near Damtang, get down further into the Ha Valley. This is the Ha Valley. Go down and then loop around to Jaigaon. That's a long distance, but that's an option. Okay, just to give you, this is Ha Valley. You see, these are the valleys which I showed you earlier. This is the from Chumbi Valley. This is the thing. This is Chomolari. North of this side, this is actually north. But as you see to the left of Chomolari, which is to the north in the map, I tilted the map here. You can't do anything. You can only go down south. And down south, of course, this is one route. This is the second route which goes via Ha Valley. And the third route via the Paro Valley. Okay. And from the Paro Valley, both these join at a place called Confluence. From Confluence, you go down to a place called Gedu, Gedu down to Jaigaon or Funshling. And from there, you go to Hashimara and all, and you keep going further left, which is very difficult. It's a long detour. Whereas this is short. And this is something we are not allowing them to do. Right? Okay, so this gives you, and this is the Timpu Valley. And this is the Punaka Wangdi Phodrang Valley. So these valleys are what define Bhutan. These are the eastern valleys and the more prosperous valleys. Yeah, this, like I said, is the Amochu Valley, the natural flow. So these three entries are the only entries from Chumbi Valley into Bhutan. The most easiest route is via Paro, broadest valley. The Ha Valley is very constricted, right? And of course, the Amochu Valley is very difficult. The route is difficult actually. In fact, there's no habitation there. Very little habitation. South here in this area is a place called Samse. I'll explain a little later where Samse is. It's not difficult to explain here. So all these valleys are what define Eastern Bhutan. Oh, sorry, Western Bhutan. Okay. Right. Now, of course, this is again Chomolari. Right. And when you go to Paro, two things which I always loved was one is of course Somalari, and the second is something called a tiger's nest or eagle's nest or a tiger's den or whatever they call it. But I always knew it as Taksangompa. Today they have named it many things. Taksangompa is a gompa which is on a edge of a hill. I don't know who built it and when. Where I used to be in a place called Dukezong, right? Let me show you that. Yeah, this is Dukezong. This is where Dukezong is. And just opposite that was this Taksangompa. So every day when I got out, I used to pray towards Taksangompa and have a look at Chomolari. And my day was made. And after that, get going with the thing. And of course, I've been there, walked up, hard trek. It used to take us then about 45-50 minutes. And those days, you had to only walk. Things have changed now, but that's a different story. Today, it's a tourist attraction. So I would suggest if you people go there, go and see these places. It's worth it. It's a life. Okay. Rather than seeing all those glitzy things in New York and Paris and all, I've been there also. It's not that they're bad, but I think these are much better. You are close to nature, and then you cross Paro River, which is one of the best rivers I've lived next to. Okay, now I've flipped the whole thing. And what you're now seeing is from the Tibetan plateau, right? This is the Tibetan plateau. Okay, let me explain one by one. This is the crest line. This is here is the Chumbi Valley. Crest line comes like this and goes here off. If you see, let me explain. This is Paro Valley. This is Ha Valley, which I showed earlier. Paro. Okay, and this is Wangdi Phodrang Valley and Timpu. It appears as if there's a valley which comes here. It comes here to Gaya. But after that, this terrain is impossible. You can't pass it because you're all now. By the time you climb up in here and the vegetation disappears, you are at about 7,000 feet. There's no question of any military movement here. So the military movement from here, this is Chomalari, I till here Chorakang, here is out. Here you can get in. Okay, and this place is called Lunje, and this, and you go. Okay, now we'll see something else. This is the southern part. The and this is India. So here the border goes like this with India, and this is Tawang. You can see Tawang written here. So it goes via Tawang, comes back. This is the plains of Assam, and comes back here. Right, and the river which you see here is the Brahmaputra, and this is Tista. Tista and all ultimately flow into Brahmaputra. Now, this is Bangladesh. This is all three-dimensional. Have a look at it. This is Maiman Singh, right? Just to give you an idea. Rangpur. This is a Rangpur. This is, of course, the Tutulia corridor. Anyway, and this, of course, is the part of that Siliguri corridor. Okay. So if you see here, this are the from Chumbi Valley. There are three routes: Amuchu, Ha Valley, Paro Valley. After that is impossible. And then you have a second route which comes here. Lungje, Tashigang, and goes. And this route goes behind Tawang. And this place called Sakteng. I'll talk of Sakteng later. We'll see how where it figures. So this is how it is. So virtually what you're seeing is, and of course, let me what you have to understand in Bhutan. If the Chinese want to exploit Bhutan, they can only exploit it here or here. Bhutan per se has got no value for the Chinese. It's to come to India, and that is why they expand here. They expect us to get drawn in here. Here they want to come to hit Sakteng, and I'll explain the Sakteng business to you. Okay, I'll explain the Sakteng business to you. Now people say climate change, this, that, and all that, and snow is getting reduced in Himalayas and all that. Okay, but have a look on 26th October. This was the snow line in Himalayas. On 3rd November, after that typhoon Monta or whatever that was a few days back, this is the amount of snowfall there. So snowfall is there. It will come. It will hold. If there is snowfall, it's there and it will not run away. So don't get taken in too much by these climate change artists. Okay. Now look at this. Now that you've seen it, see this is the right area this is Funchling, this is Torsa, this is actually some say I'll speak of it a little. This is Ha Valley, Paro. So this is Chumbi Valley. Now look at it. Here, Bhutan shows the border like this. This is what they have bitten away. If you see that earlier it was a straight line. The Chinese have already bitten away. And till here, the road goes from in Punaka, it goes till here. It's not a road. North of this is all a track. At times it's a yak track. At times it's just a foot track. Very little. Okay. Okay. And here, of course, Jakar and Tashigang, Lunji. Here also from Jakarlung, it goes up to Jakarlung here, but that's not a good road. It's only a track at best. And this area here is Tawang. So I've flipped it now back the way we are normally looking at it. Now, roads in Bhutan are very less. When I went to Bhutan, there was no connection between Wangdi. There was a road, this road from Punchling, you go up to Paro. This place is called Confluence. From Confluence, you could go to Paro, you could go to Ha, or you could go to Tumpu, or you could go to Wangdi Phodrang. From Wangdi Phodrang to Songsa, there was no road in those days. These days, they've got a road, right? It goes right down to Tashigang. Earlier, it was nothing. And then now you see these roads. Some of these roads have come up, some are under construction, but hardly big roads. But there are railway lines coming up to Gelekfu and Samse. I'll explain that towards the end. And from Assam, there's a place called Samdrup Jonkar, right? And from Samdrup Jonkar, you can go right up to Tashigang zone. So this road up to there is there. That's a okay road. So I'll explain these issues also a little later. Right. Now, what does China claim? China claims 269 square kilometers in Doklam area or Dolam area. They have occupied 465 kilometers in two bits at a place called Jakarlung and Pasamlung. And they have also laid claim to Sakteng sanctuary. It's a wildlife sanctuary. And Sakteng is more than 100 kilometers from the border. There's no connectivity, but they've laid claim. And when did this claim come? 2020. As late as till 2020, till our problem with China about Eastern Ladakh, they didn't speak of it. What is China doing with Bhutan now? They say, we'll settle everything. We'll forgo Sakteng. You give us Bhutan, you give us Doklam. That's one way of saying. Other thing is, they say, no, we'll not forgo everything. You give us Doklam, recognize our claim on Sakteng, we'll talk later. We'll give you back Jakarlung and Pasamlung. And they keep changing. And poor Bhutan gets stuck. And they've been pushing Bhutan to talk directly to them. We don't allow that talk. And Bhutan is also comfortable not talking directly. Because they have nothing which they can stop. They don't have a counter. They have no leverage with China. The only good thing, unlike Nepal is connected from the north. There's a lot of trade between Nepal and Tibet. It used to be there earlier also. Not with Bhutan. Trade with Tibet and Bhutan was only either through Trashigang Zong or through Chumbi Valley. That's it. Now, China is constructing villages, expanding villages. They've done it here. This is Jakarlung, the way they've expanded. This is in 2020. This is in 23. They've expanded here. And in Pasamlung. This is in 2021. They've expanded here. So the Chinese are, ruthless in this. And Bhutan is defenseless. Bhutan doesn't have an army which can handle all this. If the Indian army reaches there, Bhutanese army will be there to help. But on their own, they don't have the capability. Right? Now, let me talk about these two. These are two interesting things. Okay. Uh, yeah. Now the more interesting thing, Doklam issue we have spoken, so I'm not going to talk of it. We'll talk more of Sakteng. China started laying claim to Sakteng in 2020. This is the clip, or rather, this is the headline. When the first thing they said, China lays claim to Bhutan Sakteng sanctuary. Okay, India, of course, knew. This is Sakteng. Why is Sakteng important? Sakteng is actually flat. It is down. I've seen Sakteng, and I'll explain where Sakteng is. And I'll explain the significance of Sakteng. I'll come back to Sakteng. Okay. If you see, this is the area we are talking of. This is Bhutan, this is Tawang, and this is Tibet. Tawang means thing. Now we know that they claim Tawang. Okay. Now this is Sakteng. Now the only three entries into the Tawang sector. I'll speak again of this particular thing when we speak of Arunachal Pradesh. But I'll give you a rough idea. Is a place called Kenzamane. Kenzamane is the place in 59 when Dalai Lama came through Kenzamane into India. It's a pass. It's along the Namkachu. The Namkachu originates in Tibet and comes into India. I'll explain that later. But just take it from me here. The second is through Bumla, and the third is through Tulungla. There are only three passes, and of course, there are minor passes otherwise. Three main three passes through which forces from the north can come to the south. Sakteng outflanks all of them. If the Chinese come and sit at Sakteng, they're behind us. That's why they want Sakteng. There is no road, like I said, but they'll coerce. They'll go to Trashigang, slowly get in here and come here. But there's a even more sinister move, which I did speak of often. I'll have to go back into 62. A bit of history. In 1962, the Chinese came along three routes. They came along the Kenzamane route, they came along the Bumla route, and they came along the Tulungla route. These three. And then they advanced towards Tawang. Okay. That is, what is it? Kenzamane, Bumla, and Tulungla. And then they came further. And then they hit Tawang. They captured Tawang. And then they came further. Now, as they were hitting Tawang, after hitting Tawang, they came and they had to capture Sela. Sela was their prize. Because if Sela falls, then further right down to the plains of Tezpur, there's no stopping. Some you can stop at Bumla, but I'll talk of that in the next thing. Right. Okay. Now, what did they do? What did the Chinese do? The Chinese did an outflanking move. They came via Tulungla, came to a place called Mago, and from there they took a cross-country route to a place called Poshingla, came down to a place called Sapper, and from Sapper they put a roadblock at a place called Nukmadong and completely cut off the route to Sela. And we panicked. Now the Chinese now know that this is out because we are holding Tulungla in strength. We have detachments in Mago. Those days there was nothing. The first detachment we had was at a place called Dirangia. Dirang is a district headquarters. Okay. We have detachments all. This road is well guarded now. They can't come like this. So what do? They come via Tashigang. They can get to Tashigang, then get to Sakteng. And from Sakteng, they can hit Nukmodong and do the same thing, mirror effect of what they did in 62. And that is why they want Sakteng. Sakteng is flat. You do an airdrop in Sakteng, you are in reach of Nukmadong. In fact, from Nukmadong, you can see Sakteng. If you can see Sakteng from Nukmadong, from Sakteng, you can see Nukmadong and cut it off. And then once you cut off Nukmadong, you stay put there, do air maintenance, establish an airhead at Sakteng. It's flat. Airhead at Sakteng, and build the road. You can do it. The moment they do that, Tawang is in danger. Of course, we know all that, and we've done enough. That I'll cover in the next talk, but not now. Okay, so that's their plan, Nukmadong. Then there's the issue of rail connectivity. Now, you want Bhutan to be on your side. They have to, you know, how do you do it? So you put rails up. So you have a rail line now, which is being laid out from a place called Banarhat to Samse. And Samse is just actually on the border of India and Bhutan. And beyond that, the mountains just take off. Beyond that, you can't take rain. And again, in a place from Kokrajhar to Jelefu. Jelefu is the center. Yeah, this is how it is. From Banara to Samse, Kokrajhar to Jelefu, which we are laying out a railway line. I suppose in a year or two it will get ready there. Till there, it's all flat. Right. Now, I want to see why this is. You have to understand the Bhutan in Himalayas in Bhutan after the base just take off like this. In fact, the penetration into Bhutan to get to that 14,000, 15,000 height is lesser than from Siliguri to the plateau is 200 kilometers. It's not, it's much lesser in Bhutan. Why it's lesser in Bhutan? Because the distance from anywhere in to Chumbi Valley is just about 40, 50 kilometers as the crow flies. Jaigaon to Tremola, which is like Natula, is just about 100 kilometers. The road takes a long time, but aerial. This takes off. So there's no question of penetrating all of Bhutan with rail. But what will happen if once these rail goes in, then logistics maintenance of Bhutan becomes easy. From here, they've got roads up. Earlier, nothing was there. And if rail lines get into Bhutan, even by a few kilometers, their logistics dependence on is on us. So Bhutan is interesting. See, that's why if you see, right? Yeah, if you see this map, it gives you a clear idea. This is impassable area. There are only three entrances here. One entrance here, and this is impossible. So there's no trade between Bhutan and China. Very minimal movement. So if Bhutan is dependent on you, even till about recently, east-west movement between Bhutan was not feasible. If they had to go from say Thimphu to Sandrup Jonkar and to Tashigang, people used to come down into Bengal, go along the thing, get into Assam, Sandrup Jonkar, and go up. In fact, if you go there, you'll see a lot of Bhutanese vehicles, Bhutanese numbers. So all that, you know, makes Bhutan dependent heavily on India, and China can't move in with their vehicles. There's no trade. That's why trade is minimal. China wants to open that up because the moment they open up trade, they'll get debt trapped. After all, Bhutan has got doesn't have much money. They can pressurize them and have a ball. right? So that's how things are with Bhutan, right? Now, this is landing of a plane in Paro. Paro is the only airfield, and it's a small airfield and a dangerous airfield. There are very few people who can actually land a plane there. Long back, I remember one of our army commanders was landing in Paro, and his helicopter just crashed. And thereafter, there was another accident also in Paro. It's a small strip. For a long time, for good about 30, 40 years, there was a Air Force detachment at Paro, manned by an Air Force officer who used to take care of that airfield. Have a look. You'll get an idea of the Paro Valley. This is the Paro Valley. It is almost the broadest valley, right? See, this is how it comes. See the airplane flying. You can see this aircraft flying. This is the airfield. In fact, there is a huge gompa from. I can make out this is shot from a gompa. There's a gompa out there with a good school and all that. And this is from there you get this view. I still remember that. Right. And yeah, this is Paro. This is how Paro is. Paro is a broad valley and it's very nice. This is actually Chomalari. You can see from some places in Paro, yeah, this bit. Otherwise, normally you can't. Chomalari is like Kanchenjunga in Bhutan. Virtually from western Bhutan, you can see it at most places. Well, that's the trip to Bhutan. Bhutan is a small place. The significant thing in Bhutan is Chinese can't walk into Bhutan. They have to come via Chumbi Valley. And then when they come into Chumbi Valley, remember, we'll go back into that map and the main map and have a look. Yeah, when they come into Chumbi Valley, if they try to get this side, their back is towards us. So you can have them in this thing. On Tashigang, the road is long. For them to reach Sakteng is very difficult. What we have done at Sakteng and how everything, I'll speak when we talk of Arunachal Pradesh. We'll first talk of West Arunachal Pradesh and then I'll go to East Arunachal Pradesh. Right? Give it in bits which you can absorb. I can make this long talks, but making it long talks won't help. I hope you understood all this. If you're not understood or anything, please ask me questions. If not now, later. There's no problem. I don't mind revisiting. But people should understand it's not as if Chinese can come anywhere they want like bloody cattle. There's limitations to what the Chinese can do. Okay. That's something which people have to understand. Yeah. Right? You know, China can come either through Chumbi Valley or through Tashigang. There's no other route. Very little. So there are limitations to what China can do with Bhutan. But if they push into Bhutan and put Bhutan under its clutches, then we'll have difficulty. Right? Yeah. So I thought this is what I wanted to put across to all of you. So if you have any questions, I'll take over. And I do hope please give this to all your friends so that they understand what this whole story is. Also see the first part. Both the links I put in both the parts. Right. That's one. And do like the video, subscribe to Gunner Shot, and also join as members. Okay. So this is it for the day. So I'll take on a few questions and yeah. What I'm not little very happy about is you people want all flash. When I talk sense, I don't see anyone coming. There's just about 74 people watching. That puts me in this thing. Am I taking, because making these slides took me a lot of effort. Am I doing this? Is it a waste of time? I'd rather just talk some nonsense about Trump and some Pakistanis, yeah, and 300 people will come and watch, or talk sense and hardly any watch. So that's a question which you'll have to answer me. Okay, anyway, that's okay. That's part of the game, I suppose. I think value for money is more important than just money. Yeah, Mera, how are you? I'm fine. Uh, okay. We should warn China, stick to the status quo, or we will be forced to change their borders. China needs to realize we can salami slice too if we wanted to. This is that I'm okay with it, but unfortunately our polity doesn't believe in such attitudes. And why we don't have that is we are not strong enough. The day we are stronger, we can do all this. And Bhutan may be a proud country as they should be, but they should merge into India for both Bhutan's and Bharat's sake. Bhutan will hesitate to merge into India. Sikkim was a different kettle of fish. Sikkim had no choice because it was completely dependent on India. I mean, for that matter, even Bhutan is. Bhutan is a bigger country than Sikkim, right? And the political conditions were different. Ideal, what I would also like Bhutan to be part of India. But have we created conditions for Bhutan to join India? I don't think so. Maybe tomorrow they will. We have to entice them to say, okay, we want to be part of India. That's the thing. You have to go with it politically. Whether we have the capability to do so politically is a question. Yeah, Akash, Jai Hind and Jai Bharat. Uh, MV Karan, good evening. National Nomad Rubicon, good evening. Amitesh, good evening. Sir, Bhutan has consciously avoided pissing off China, but at what cost? Nearly 20% of their territory has been gobbled up and they sit silent. You've seen how much of their territory has been gobbled up. It's not 20% by any stretch of imagination. There are three enclaves at Pasamlung, Jakarlung, and a little at Doklam. They have expanded, but it's not 20%. Or we shouldn't unnecessarily start hyping it up. So far, it is manageable. And we should tell the Bhutanese, look, if you are not with India, you lose more and you don't have a say. The problem we have is because it's a different country, you can't go and tell Chinese to piss off. The day Bhutan joins as part of India, if it wants, then you can station people there and tell Chinese to piss off. Mm. I am somehow not happy that you have not attended JD Summit. Look, JD Summit is not the be all and end all of life. Understand that. I have important work to do, which is more important than JD Summit. So I had told this thing. In fact, today I was supposed to do with him. I had a word with Sanjay Dixit ji, and I told him, look, you must be busy. You carry on. I'll do Bhutan. As simple as that. Yeah, does Bhutan's monarchy value their own seat more than their territorial sovereignty? I think they're sitting silently as they don't want a Sikkim or JNK situation where they merge into us. Possible. What you're saying is got logic. They might, they would rather give 3-4 kilometers away to China and continue to rule. That's the normal thing. Yeah. Building dam on Yarlung Zangbo would not increase. We'll talk of this garbage next time because that comes in eastern Arunachal. We'll talk of that later. Please speak a little about Imtrat stationed in Bhutan. Like, how does one get to go there? How qualified do you have to be? And other details. You have to be selected to go to Imtrat. Okay, and at the right time at various levels. So you have to and be posted there. You have to be selected as an instructor and go there. So it's a long process. Uh, you could get selected at 5 years of service, 6 years of service, 15. I mean, various levels. It's a matter of your competence. You need to get recommended for a foreign posting because a posting to Imtrat is considered as foreign posting. When we went as part of joint training with Bhutan. We send for 6 months in a year. We send a battalion group into Bhutan when the passes are fully open for joint training with RBA, Royal Bhutan Army, and we go and sit at Dokesong. That's where I sat 6 years. Not now, not 60, 40 years back. Uh, Not 40, about 35, 38 years back. This was 82, 83. Okay. Hmm. We sit there, and that's where the road ends. After Dukesong, those days there was no road ahead. After that, anywhere else you had to walk. And after Ha, when you could drive up to a place called Damtang, and after Damtang, there's nothing. Even Damtang, Kacha road used to go. You bumpy road, light vehicles, and, and after that you footy. We've done a lot of footy there, and it's a different life altogether. Please call it the Tibet border. Yeah. Yeah. So with alternate limit Zimitang Tawang axis just east and bordering Bhutan, shaping up very well. We are in a great position. I'll talk of this Zimitang Tawang Yevo next. Next is we're going east slowly. I started in Sikkim, now touch Bhutan, Sikkim, Chumbi Valley, Bhutan. We'll go to Arunachal Pradesh, Kameng district, and that's when we'll hit Zimitang and Tawang axis. And then we'll go further to rest of Arunachal Pradesh. And then, having finished McMahon line, Arunachal Pradesh, everything, then we'll go to Eastern Ladakh, one by one. Can't we provide missiles to Bhutan and place our army in Bhutan? We have an army in Bhutan. That's what IMTRAT is all about. IMTRAT is basically a div headquarters. In case of anything, our army will be there. And our officers are there. They're training RBA and the Royal Bhutanese Army officers and NCOs and JCOs come to our training institutions to train. So we are okay. Given the availability of BrahMos, Pinaka gives us both depth and elevation at the operational level in and about Bhutan. We don't need to go do all this. Like I told you, from the plains, with all these, you can hit into Chumbi Valley and close off access into Bhutan. As simple as that. Why do you have to go up? You push Pinaka up. Okay, now let me, in which case I have to go back to those maps. And so only then you'll understand. Yeah, have a look at this. Why do you want to put missiles here? What for? You put them here. You put them here. When you put them here, you can anyway affect all of them without taking missiles up into Bhutan. You have your own roads. You can take missiles here. Same area you cover. Any case, there's nothing in between here. The roads are here and here. So whether you take a missile here and fire from here, or take a missile here and fire from here, how does it make a difference? मिलिट्री में ना उल्टा सोचना पड़ता है. Okay, yeah. So we don't need to take anything into Bhutan. And you deploy missiles there, the Chinese will, be angry with them and they'll be in trouble. What for? Why do you want to do it? When you can do it on your own. Let me put it across. What they tried at some Sakteng here, we didn't do anything. What we have done is we put a field firing ranges next to in this area. I'll talk of it later. Field firing ranges. So we go there and regularly fire. And if you just swing the barrel a bit, you can hit Sakteng. So now that is closed. If there's a parachute coming from the top, you fire at them, that parachute will go. So we have done everything. I mean, one thing we should grant is the Indian Army is quite smarter. We are quite smart. We know how to handle this Chinese. And here numbers don't count. Okay, you can put 20,000 people here. How will you feed them? So there are major issues in this whole story. Yeah. Okay. We'll now next question. Yeah. Today Sushant Sarin asked a beautiful question in GD Summit why most of our neighbors are against us but not against China. I don't agree with him. I don't agree with him. Okay. Uh, Bhutan terrain is too difficult for army to invade. Yeah. China versus Bhutan, no match. Bharat would need to make it. We are there. Akash, we are there. Don't worry. Yeah, I'm talking of a time in 1982. I was there, and I'm sure by now things have improved. So, if population is decreasing, why do they need more land, and what's their ultimate objective? Yeah, they're expansionist state. The Mao has told them you to go and take it. वो अभी तक माओ के जमाने में रह रहे हैं. I told you, खुद का their cities are sinking, their generals are rebelling, they're eating up money, they're killing themselves, and they're communists. So you're dealing with a set of irrational people. Please understand that. Yeah. Thank you, General. Very interesting. So much to see in India. Oh, oh hell of a lot. You go there to Bhutan and it's a different world altogether. As recently as 2016, I sent my wife and daughter there. I was about to retire, and my wife and daughter said, "Yeah, you keep telling us so many stories about Bhutan, but what about us? Why don't you come? We'll go there for holiday." I said, "No, I'm not coming. I'll come after I retire, right? If I can, but now I can't come. I'll make arrangements for you. So you go." I requested Imtrat to give them some accommodation. So they loafed around Paru, Timpu, and all that and came back. And I told them, "You're not going to fly into Bhutan, go by road because that's something." Way back in 1982, we were building the Chuka Hydel project on Amochu. 82. And let me give you a story here. It's a very interesting story. You know, we were October, it was end October, we were quitting, the snows had started falling, we were quitting Bhutan. And I was closing up the convoy and coming in the end. Last vehicle, I found one vehicle had broken down. Oh, those days we were all in Nissan vehicles, 1 ton. उसका जो propeller का shaft है ना वो टूट गया. Fan, right? So we didn't know what to do. How do you take this vehicle down 250 kilometers? It can't start. Yeah, so we went to the Chuka Hydel project workshop. Now, those days they were building the dam. Yeah, so in that workshop they had building. So we got hold of one guy. He took the radiator off. He took that pulley off. He took that rotor off. Shaft off. Okay, I mean not the shaft, the coupling off, and we welded it. And he double welded it. He said, "Sir, धीरे धीरे ले जाना गाड़ी को." And धीरे धीरे we came. By the time I hit Pulsling, it was past midnight, and I was scared. And those days the roads were bad. I just had about 4 years of service. धीरे धीरे फुंसलिंग में आके रुक गए रात को. In Jaigaon we had a army detachment, so they gave us place to sleep that night, and we slept. And next day left, got down, and that was the rest is history. Why I'm saying this? In 82 we had this capability. We were building a idle project there, and that supervisor of that project, I still remember. He took me to his house and gave me, what do you get there? Aloo and roti. His wife, Dehati lady from UP, nice lady. I still pray. I hope they are good in good health. They gave aloo roti to me. That was one of the best lunches I had, and so that's how it is. So today those things have, and after that Chuka Hydel project came, Bhutan became surplus in electricity. They sell surplus to the northeast. This Jaldaka, Chuka, all these projects which have come, and this is of the last century, 40 years back. The first time I went to the northeast, there was no electricity. Electricity would come 5, 6 hours in a day. That's it. Early morning 1, 2 hours, evening 3, 4 hours. In between, we used to keep sweating the whole day in summers. But the last time I went to this thing in the northeast, oh, you had no problem of electricity. There's no surplus electricity in that area because of this. What we did there. So don't think uh, we have not protested. If these Nepalese agree and they're okay for hydel projects and we build, there are 3, 4 of them in the pipeline, they will become surplus of electricity and they'll earn money. Nepal has to just think. They are worried because if they get involved with all this, what will happen with China? And that's because of all this communist there. Hopefully now with what has happened, things will change. Can we change the graphics of Bay of Bengal to Himalayas is not Bangladesh, it's Bengal, please. Oh, that's okay. In your opinion, we India have to change neighboring borders soon. Yeah, that's all fine. Okay, you're not wasting time. It takes sense. It takes time. Yeah, thanks a lot. No, no, that's not the point. Only thing is, I wish more people see it. That's about all. Uh, yeah, today viewership is low because people are watching Jaipur Dialogue Summit. That's okay. Uh, I thought today was final, isn't it? A last day or something. Anyway, whatever it is. Thanks a lot, Kamath. I agree for your reinforcement that you prefer high quality information over sensational comment. Thank you. This is just fantastic. With less views, South Asian should be India domain. More I see your podcast, more I understand. You are very generous. Thanks a lot. We need to understand each other. We need to understand our strengths. Anyone who thinks India is weak is a fool. Yeah, Bhutan is noted for its high gross national happiness. I agree. Very nice people there. You get beautiful asparagus there. A lot of asparagus. We used to lot of mushrooms, lot of trout. I never used to eat trout, but some of the best trout was available 200 meters away from my tent. Yeah, it's your choice and preference whether to attend or not JD Summit. Either we get info and opinions from your side. Well, I agree with you, but JD Summit is not the be all and end all because I have more work, which is more important than JD Summit. Let me tell you this. Uh, I would have liked to go. It's not as if I didn't want to go. I wanted to go, and he had called me also, but work is work. A Bhutanese national told me national happiness is a subjective and scam metric by the government. It's not so. People are generally happy. Fantastic session, sir. The update on our own subsonic cruise missile, we'll talk of it. We'll talk of it. When the time comes, I'll talk of that also. Don't worry. Uh, these presentations regarding the geography aspect are visually spectacular and the analysis are very insightful. The ones on technology keep the layman above politicians. Yeah. Um, oh, that's great. Stopped following a dozen other YT channels. I started watching Ghana Short. That's a great honor. Thank you. Do a podcast on China's intelligence agency. Why, after the end of doing everything, you will say they are better. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I wish one of the generals is in MEA. Well, that doesn't matter. We've done our bit. When we were in service, we've served at the highest levels, and people took our advice. Let me tell you this. I can personally vouch the number of times I had to sit with my defense minister at that time, Raksha Mantri Manohar Parrikar, was not funny. तो जी लिया यार, अभी तो हमारा गिव बैक टाइम है ये. Any plans to liberate Tibet? No, no, not at all. Northeast seems to be in control on the ground. On ground situation seems tense still as the public form various clans post on social media. Nothing. There's no problem. Northeast will settle down. Manipur there'll be problem. It will not run away for other reasons. Yeah. How do we go to Bhutan by road? Yeah, if you want to go by road, you go from here to, I mean, it depends where you're approaching. But generally, Calcutta to Siliguri. Okay, from Siliguri, there's a highway which goes to across. There are two highways, uh, but you take the highway which goes to Hashimara, and from Hashimara there's a detour. You go to Jaigaon. At Jaigaon, you can enter Bhutan at a place called Phuntsholing, and from there you go up. That's the main route. You go to a place called Gedu to Conference to Paro, or you go to Thimphu. The other way of going to Bhutan is going to Assam, Guwahati to Kokrajhar. I mean, Guwahati directly you can go to Samdra and Raibam. Okay, Rupai and go up. That's it. That's a simple thing. But that side you can see nothing. The better part of Bhutan is Western Bhutan. Oh, the way you explain about Bhutan and happiness on your face, I think it's a beautiful and oh wow, that entire area. I'm talking of Nepal, Sikkim, and Bhutan, and that North Bengal belt. North Bengal is also beautiful. It's real great. My children grew up there. They learned things which I couldn't have taught them, and they are doing well. Yeah. Uh, Please continue with this sensible information. Thank you. Hope you are in good health or damn good. Just after this, I'm going to go and have a debate with a few guys on Republic TV. That's at 8:30, and I'll put that out tomorrow. Bhutan has done the biggest Hindu Gorkha genocide known as Lotsa genocide history of Bhutan. Look, those days, all this used to happen. If you look at the Gorkha wars, no, Anglo-Gorkha war, Anglo-Nepal wars, you will see this problem. Mm. This is Raman was there in Bhutan just prior to COVID. I realized the young population of Bhutan are aligned much to Chinese, but India is missing somewhere here. I don't think so. I don't think so. When you speak to people at the grassroots level, they're okay. Yeah, JD, sometimes they have too much clickbait, maybe. Uh, can India do something to fulfill aspirations of young Bhutanese? We can, like we are doing with Nepal. We can. That's where there's a slight difference between Bhutanese and Nepalese. Nepalese are more intermingling. The Bhutanese are not. Yeah, so, good evening, Lady Badharu, joining in late. That's okay. Sovereign Tibet is better than Chinese Tibet, isn't it? Yeah, I agree with you. And why no plans from our side on this? That you'll have to ask the government. The government has to have the gumption to start doing it. The day the government can do it, that will be the day. Anyway, we have come to the end of the story. Thanks a lot for those of you who attended. Give it to your friends. It's worth seeing this and understanding. I put the links of both in either, and next we will get into West Arunachal Pradesh. That's basically Kameng. area, Tabang. I'll explain to you what all is involved there. Right, with this, and I'll give you a bit of history also, how the Chinese came in and what happened and all that. And you'll realize that we didn't have to do much. We just had to stand and fight. If you stand and fight in that area, no mother's son can get through you. We didn't. It is a sorry state of military leadership of that time. It was even a worse state of political leadership who pushed us there. Okay. I've been there. I've spent a lot of time there. I walked on all routes which the Chinese have walked, and I'll explain it to you next. Okay, till then, thanks a lot. Have a great day. Enjoy yourself, and we'll see you tomorrow morning with Sandeep Punithan, right? Morning 9 o'clock. Join then. Till then, have a great night. Jai Hind.